at a red light, someone at my side trying to muddle through. See them wiping their eyes in the rear view, like black hole sun in the sky. Why the fuck won't you come when I need you? Well, this moment in time is as close as we'll be and as far as I'll meet you. Two windows in between us, new moon in the house of Venus. One stranger who sees you and reads your features knows that your alibi might be tight, but it's not quite leak-proof. So if you're sitting at the light and you're crying in your car, just know that I see you. And it's a 50-50 that I'm bloodshot, gun-shy, once bitten, twice tried, ribs pried wide to the sky till I'm see-through.
That's you, in case you don't recognize yourself.
You don't think I see you struggling to breathe, but I do. I see you stumble in your everyday grief like I do. I try, but I do. I'm twice bitten too. My mind's split in two. My knuckles bright white from the 10 to the 2. And the song in my head is the theme for a fugue, a state of decay through the filter of corporate news, where they edit the grays and the blues. They whitewash the brown till they drown out the natural hues. And then it's just another fact to refuse, that the corporate ladders for hanging the company noose. Consider it one of your perks, after all it's communal in use. So you can come and hang till your legs go limp and they're shaking you loose. Now you watch 5 co-workers opt for the alternate exit, neatly suspended above where you wolf down your food. And your company gets its incentives embellished by harping on wellness, suggesting you'd best take time for your mental health after your 14 hours are through. Like we gave you a bottle to piss in and fixed up a noose on the crossbeam. Christ, what more can we do? So if you struggle to breathe any moment that you aren't asleep, then remember, most of Americans fear for their savings, fear for their shelter, fear for their babies. You aren't the fringe of exception, but rather a perfect example of capital's rule. And you're far less alone than the ruling class tells you is true. You're far less alone than the ruling class tells you is true. I see you crying in your cars, but I do.
But he doesn't understand. How could he? He's a policeman.
I'm just here to set the place on fire. I'm World War III. I am a cacophony.
I bet they'll burn the record, because the truth would have them hung. And the record will reflect that there were thousands of tongues screaming, "Stop Cop City," at the top of their lungs, waiting for democracy that never comes. Now in war, you hear a chorus born of voices in defeat. In Georgia, there's a forest full of vibrant, healthy trees. And somewhere in a meeting room no camera ever sees, a council plans on bridging both extremes to build a city where no citizen will sleep, where every home's as vacant as the soul of every cop that walks its streets. They are empty, cold, and lifeless, like the heart of every officer patrolling on the beat, doling out the beat to all the homeless folks they meet. Another swine smiling while they wallow in your taxes, but they still insist their funding's incomplete. So we had better spend approximately double what we'd need to make the water safe in Flint so they can train somewhere in peace. Far removed from public view, disturbingly discreet. Somewhere they can breathe and learn the proper way to place a knee. Away from prying eyes and all those witnesses so quick to scream and start a hurried stream. I guess our heaps of billions wrenched away from education still can't supplement their needs. Well, that's breaking news to me. I was under the impression every city in this country was a playground for police. A space for them to train to be the worst that they could be, till they're free of any conscience when they meet us in the streets. I thought that they used Akron as the Stasi soft release, and gave New York a budget big enough to fill the sea. I thought the training ground for the driveway drive-by existed at Los Angeles PD. And I think it might be far too late for us to see Atlanta's just a single seed. One they seek to plant in every space that's quiet, safe, and green. They want a grove in every city, one whose harvest picks us clean, and the fruit that forms like tumors on the branches it conceives will curdle every healthy humor should you trust enough to eat. So believe the morbid rumors you hear echo on the breeze, for the forest had its hands up and was calmly on its knees. And I bet they'll burn the record, for the record will concede that Tortuguita had their hands up when the fusillade released. That constituent opinion does not sway you in the least when you're an agent of the fascist beast. And if any cop is listening, then memorize this part. You are more a waste of public space than noble beating heart. You will never be as brave as those you've snuffed out in the dark. You have only left a stain, you will not make a lasting mark. And the same for every council chair who heard their city speak, who were asked to represent the ones who chose them all to lead, and who opt for more Gestapo because they're frightened and they're weak. You cannot claim democracy, then sleep on...
Just an off-the-cuff chat between you and me. Us. We want to talk right down to earth in a language that everybody here can easily understand.
Who are these people?
It's us. We're these people.
I love that intro. I love that intro so much.
I'm here with a different co-host this time, Oz LaFave.
Hey guys, thanks so much for having me on.
Friend of the show, DJ Joe Nice. How are you, friend?
What's good? And you hear Nick say this all the time. The United States is the most propagandized country in the world.
We are so fucked, you guys. Again, I'm sorry for being cynical, but seriously,
No.
we're fucked. We are
Right.
fucked. We are well and truly fucking fucked.
Just appreciate all the work that you do and the platforms that you all are providing.
Hey, you. Doing good. How are you guys doing?
And as independent media, we have a responsibility to be, we don't hide our bias, obviously, but we must stay true to the facts.
What's up, Pam?
Cheers and salutations. Welcome if you got them.
But I am here with a man that I've been waiting to talk to for the last couple of years, Nico House.
As an educator, what I would suggest is that, first of all, podcasts like these are made.
So you need to be an example for the people and for the future, knowing that your words can actually change the future.
What do you feel? What would Kwame Ture feel we would have to do?
Well, politics is every day of every minute. You have to be aware of what's going on. Not voting on one day, so the vote has never meant anything. So I'm not a Democrat.
See, I would call that guy the Black Obama.
No. The issues that we talk about, listen to us.
As always, kids, labels are bad. Stay independent. Good night, fam.
INN News.
What's up, everybody? It's another episode of INN News with me, Reef Breland, and my co-host, as always, Collin Radix-Carter, a.k.a. Care Bear. Care Bear, how are you?
It is Wednesday, my dudes.
It's Wednesday. Another one.
Wait, what happened to...
Yeah, I cut it off. I didn't mean to scream in my ear. Well, if you want it.
It is Wednesday, my dudes.
Then don't... Then don't play it then.
Well, we gotta know it's Wednesday, I'm
sure there's another Wednesday clip that you can play that doesn't involve screaming.
Yeah, probably. Anyway, how are you doing? You just got back. You were traveling and whatnot.
Yeah, I was in a great, well, it's not snowing now, but I was in a great white north, also known as Canada.
Yeah.
In Montreal.
Mm.
more specifically last weekend. Got back Monday night. So
Okay.
great time, great food. You kind of know because I showed you in Indy some pictures.
Yeah, getting lobster. Getting that
Yeah.
lobster.
I haven't had now. If you know, then you know. But like, I have not had a lobster roll since I moved to DC. Like my last meal
from
in
Boston, which
Boston
yeah,
was a lobster roll. Now, for those of you who are in the area, those of you who live in Boston, I'm sure if you guys know of it, if you don't, make it a point to go. Neptune's in the North End
okay,
is the place to go. Little hole in the wall place. They can only seat like 25 people at a time. That's how small of a place it is. But
it
then
seems
again,
like
it's
the
a
place to
North End, so
go.
kind of tight anyway.
Yeah,
Like I would recommend don't even try going in for dinner time because you'll be lucky if you get a seat.
mm-hmm.
Go in during lunch when there's slightly less people, but they have the best lobster roll that I ever had. Like, and they have two versions. Well, I'm talking about food. Reef is like, I'll take you talking.
I'll take it.
So they have a cold one, and then they have a warm one.
Mm.
So both are good, but I prefer the warm one. So, but yeah, so that was my well, actually, a lobster roll was my last meal before I moved to DC, but I didn't get it from there. I ended up getting it at Legal Seafood, which is a chain that chains at least in the Northeast. I'm not sure about anywhere else. So
Right.
yeah. So all that to say, I am very picky about my lobster rolls. You can, not to say you could fuck up a lobster roll, but like you could definitely do some things to it that may not be as good. But I think especially if it doesn't have enough meat, you
Yeah,
use the wrong type of roll. Like there's a lot of things you could do.
factors.
So I went to a restaurant on a rooftop on a hotel in Old Montreal Saturday night, recommended by one of my coworkers who used to live in Montreal. So looked at the menu beforehand, saw they had the lobster roll. They also had like I guess a chicken katsu sandwich
Mm.
that I was also kind of intrigued by. So then I asked the waitress which of the two which she would get. And she immediately, without hesitation, was like, get the lobster roll. I was like, in my mind, like, you sure? Like, because, yeah. So, so I was like, I figured she would have said the sando, but she said lobster roll without hesitation. So I was like, all right, I mean, the lobster roll and Reef.
Yes.
Reef.
Yeah, you're
I
frozen.
don't vibe.
What?
Yes. Oh,
Weirdly.
uh-oh.
There it is. Now you're back.
Oh, there we go.
I think it's your internet again.
Oh no, not this again.
It's fine. We'll power through.
Yeah.
You were saying?
But anyway, yeah. So I don't vibe at restaurants. Like it takes a lot for me to like vibe out, like due to the awesomeness of food. But I vibed. Like I was enjoying myself. So because of that, I ordered that espresso martini as my, I guess, aperitif, so to speak. So
Nice.
but yeah, had great time. You know, it's surprising that I lived near Montreal so long, living in Boston, that I've always had the idea of going to Canada just generally, but I've always had the idea of going in the winter, so that was like a no-no. But then I thought about it like back in May, I started planning this trip, and then I just kind of I didn't, cause I got my cousin got married in Atlanta, so that was basically all my money. So I was like, I want to go somewhere. Not too. I want to feel like I went somewhere like international, but not travel long in order to get to that place. So I figured, all right, well, Canada seemed and Montreal seemed to be a good
Where it's
bet.
at.
So so
I tried to get
definitely
you to
worth.
head over to Joe Beef. I don't know if you remember to do that, but that's also very good in Montreal.
Yeah, like their
their waiting list,
slice
I'm
meat.
sure,
I
is
did not.
ridiculous.
No, yeah, did not get the beef this time.
Yeah.
But it'll be on the books for next time for sure.
Jose Andres.
Like,
I don't know if Jose is doing that. I think that's different people. I think it's one of those Jose Andres places though. Joe Beef in Montreal. It's an actual place. So it's one of those foo-foo
yeah,
restaurants with the nice gold plates and whatnot. But yeah, we brought some stories. What'd you bring?
long digression from my travels. So that's okay. Everyone's just coming in. So what's up, fam? Glad you're here.
Yeah.
So yeah. So here's the thing, and I'm sure a lot of you. Not to say I'm getting tired of it, but I think I'm personally getting Israel-Gaza fatigue. In terms of, I feel like almost every week, and granted, it's necessary to talk about Israel and Gaza, but if we don't talk about Gaza, it's very hard to get other stories that are not necessarily mainstream. That's been kind of a tricky thing, especially over the last few weeks. And next week it's DNC, so I'm sure it's going to be even harder next week.
This is the most election of our lifetime.
So that being said, I did want to highlight this article that friend of show, well, in our heads, Caitlin Johnstone wrote on Monday that does talk about Trump and Harris, but as we know, Caitlin, she always brings a different spin, more or less calling out the establishment, which we love. So we're going to read that. We're going to read that article, which also relates. It kind of alludes to the story that I'll talk about later.
Yeah.
Which is about the Iron Dome. Shout out to Reef for the visual there.
Yeah. Of an actual Iron Dome. That's what was in my head. You know, if you tell me Iron Dome, this is what I think of. You know, it's just like a big dome of iron.
Although it looks like something from Star Wars, though.
Yeah, I went Egyptian. I tried to.
Yeah.
You know, like if you look closely at the picture, there's some what do they call that? Cartoufs, something like that. Like all those pictographs and whatnot, hieroglyphics. Yeah, that kind of stuff. But yeah,
yeah, but yeah, we're gonna talk about the Iron Dome a little bit tonight. We're gonna talk about, because it's known as kind of like an impenetrable bastion.
But it's a paper tiger,
which basically, but it also kind of relates to another story which was kind of breaking, that was reported yesterday, that as I was prepping this, it got was reported on, how it relates to the money that we will be spending, or sending over rather, to Israel with our latest weapons package. So we're going to do a 2-for-1. We're going to talk about those together. But I think it makes sense in context of that.
Yep.
And then what do you got?
Well, I've got the offensive in KURSK, which is happening. We're going to talk about why it's happening, how it's happening, and for how long it's going to be happening. I did some 2-for-1s. It's really a 3-for-1, but luckily Dave DeCamp of antiwar.com writes short stuff, so I can do that. Shout out to you, Dave DeCamp. But Yeah, we're gonna talk about that, and I brought some stuff in Mint Press. Greg Stoker. Have to make sure I really pronounce his name right. Stoker. Not with an extra R.
Yeah.
Gotta remember that. Gotta not be a 9-year-old. You know?
How would you say it?
You put an R in between S and T, after S and T. If it's Stoker, you'll get it.
Stoker.
You'll get it.
Okay.
So anyway, and in more serious news, we're going to talk about the Nakba, specifically how this has been happening, right? We talk about this a lot, but I kind of wanted to give some examples of this. You know, we're going to bring it all the way up into modern times where they assassinate journalists. So still happening, still needs to be talked about, and people need to be remembered. So we're going to do some of that. So prep your emotional butts for that one. But otherwise, you know, like we'll get through it. We'll manage. So, but yeah, that's what I brought. Anything else? I think that's it.
Nope.
Cool.
Yep.
Well, as always, talking about these things, it's why we're demonetized. So you can go to ko-fi.com/indienewsnetwork.
And actually, YouTube told us this week. They basically said to us, we ain't helping you. We're not promoting your stuff. We're not going to highlight your stuff.
Yeah.
You're on your own, basically, is what they said. So
I don't even think our links are working in the chat until our Al Jazeera copyrights are up in the next 60 days.
We hope.
We hope. We're still on one strike and we're out right now.